Hello everyone, today I am going to be talking about the qualifying for the Japanese Grand Prix. In Q1, a car from 5 different teams knocked out. That bodes well for the race in midfield. Should be plenty of overtakes and battling going on there, especially with Lance Stroll that far down in that car. His race pace has been improving lately, and I can see him making the adjustments needed to start slicing through some of these slower cars. Gasly also out, just not squeezing enough from the tractor. K-Mag, a ways off Hulk, keeping him down in 18th. And the bottom two drivers, it's not too much of a shock. It's Sargent and Zhou. Just a little side note on this, Charles Leclerc having a poor lap, so he needed to use another set of softs more than the others who eventually made it into Q3. Q2 showed us that Ocon getting into Q2 was the absolute maximum that car is capable of, and Albon showing why giving him Logan's car was a good idea. He's up in 14th, 5 places above Logan. Bottas performing some kind of witchcraft to go a 10th quicker than Albon and into 13th. Hulk also showing the younger drivers how it's done, just quicker than Bottas, putting himself 12th. I don't know what's going on with the old guys today, but they're doing work. Then the tragedy continues for Daniel Ricciardo. A good performance in all honesty, but it just wasn't enough. Yuki knocks him out, down into 11th place at the very end of the session. And I'm going to reiterate this. Yuki Tsunoda is absolutely cooking this season, and maybe trying to drive to earn a seat at Red Bull. So, if these performances continue, don't judge his teammate too harshly. Whether it's Ricciardo, or if they choose to replace Ricciardo later in the season. Anyway, Q3. I suppose the story of the session was Leclerc reaping what he sowed with the Q1 problem, only having one run in the session, and that only putting him in 8th. You have to wonder where he would have been if he had the 2 sets. Probably around the times of the Spaniards, but I'll get to them later. Starting 10th, Yuki Tsunoda. He just couldn't find any more time in the final session, and he should be getting another points finish, or point finish, I guess, if the strategy's sound, and for him, he'll be hoping that there'll be an error or two from drivers in front of him. As we know, Suzuka is a very, very unforgiving track, and any error could put you in the barrier. In 9th, Osama bin Russell has managed to not bin it in quali, but is still 2.5 tenths off his teammate, and has gotten very lucky with the stewards. He had an unsafe release in Q1, and the stewards have strangely said that it wasn't his fault. It was the engineers, so he shouldn't be penalised for it, but that's not how it usually works. If your engineers make an error, it's usually the driver that pays for it. And I feel that it's very strange that he wasn't given a penalty for it. In 8th, like I said, Charles Leclerc suffering from having his one set of softs. Hamilton being the faster of the Mercedes, and this for the first time this season out-qualifying George Russell, putting himself in 7th with nothing much to mention for him, to be honest, just had a quiet, good session. Same goes for Oscar Piastri. Lots of people thought the McLarens would be up in the pack, and they are. Oscar getting himself onto the 3rd row. Alonso telling lies earlier on in the session, maybe some gamesmanship, when he said that there was no improvements on his lap time that he could do, which he then obviously improved on to start 5th. Carlos Sainz putting in the laps that we should be expecting from a great driver in a good car, putting him 4th on the grid once again. Not much to talk about, just a smooth session. And his old mate, Lando Norris, putting in a phenomenal Q3. He's been strong in all 3 sessions, and he put it all together to go 2 tenths quicker than Carlos. Maybe he could be a challenger for the Red Bulls, but we'll have to see when the race comes. Perez putting pressure on Verstappen and putting the performance that Red Bull want him to be doing consistently. And if he can turn this into a second place finish and continue to finish on the podium more often than not, he may convince Red Bull to keep him on for next season. And back to the usual programming with a pole position for Max Verstappen, which he will be motivated to perform in the race to make up for the DNF in Melbourne. He's going to be coming back with some fire. Who do you think is going to win the race? Let me know in the comments. My money is on Verstappen domination coming back with a vengeance. As always, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.